Steven!
Yeah.
Do you realize that in a week's time, we will have NFL action going on?
How so?
How so? Of the stinking Hall of Fame game, baby.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're going to
Man,
pop
I've been-
that
I've-
on.
I've-
Be
I've had
so
that- I've had
excited.
that-
Hang
you know,
on,
I'm-
Steven. I'm talking. We're going to pop that on and be so excited for 5 minutes and then realize that no one's playing in the game. I beat you to the joke. I already knew what you were going to say.
I didn't even know who's playing in it this year.
Jets and Browns.
Oh,
Anything related to the NFL is going to have the Jets involved.
I wish it was Jets Broncos, week 1.
Yeah. Ooh, Sean Payton got a vendetta against Nathaniel Hackett for some reason.
Yeah, it's kind of unwarranted. I know we got a lot to get to today.
We do get a lot to get to. I was just curious, why Sean Payton had so much vitriol for Nathaniel Hackett. I would love to hear his opinion of his own damn movie and Kevin James' portrayal, if he's going to be so honest about things. Anyway, just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. As Steven said, we have a lot to get to today, but I'm noticing a lot of new faces in the chat today, and I want to thank the Ernies. Both Ernies have been fantastic this week on the 3-day adventure, 2 days so far, of Copes and Ratto. They've been all over it, and I thank you guys for tuning in, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for bringing new faces. I see AJ Cruz 75, Otis Bird. I've heard that name before on Facebook.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching the show today.
Yeah, you think we don't know you, but we know who you are.
We all know.
All of you in
we
the
know the
chat.
names, just maybe not the faces. So let's get to it, Stephen. We have a lot to get to today. A lot of news has been popping. So let's get right to it. Just your headlines, man. Go.
All right. It's kind of weird doing like a segment on a podcast and trying to like get everything going. All right, we got the ticker, we got the music. Okay, we're all good. Just the headlines, man, that we're going to be talking about today. Number 1, as we see with the gear that we got on, we got Giants gear, we got A's gear. I need to turn down the music, and there we go. As you're just rocking out. See, Derek doesn't do it. See, to these new people on the podcast, Derek just likes to dance and doesn't try to contribute as far as in-studio production. Anyway, just your headlines, man. We had the Dave Rich series this week. Sell the team chance through the stadium in that opener. It's hard to imagine any owners are actually listening to that, considering they approved Rob Manfred as commissioner for the next 4 years, and not a single fan thinks he's any good at his job, and everyone's been calling for his job ever since he took over. So sell the team chance, it's great. It's kind of falling on deaf ears, I think. Kind of a slap in the face.
Excuse me, sorry, the dancing took that out of me.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's been fun though. Went the last night actually to Giants and A's. I'll get to it later, but it has fallen on deaf ears. But I do love the unity of the Bay Area. Continue, Steven.
Yes. Trade deadline coming up for baseball. Shohei Ohtani officially taken off the trade market. So good luck to Ohtani when you get to the wild card game and then maybe the division series and you lose because it's the Angels and there are teams that are better out there. So you stay with the Angels. Maybe you'll get to the World Series in 5 years, Shohei, but good luck with that.
Did you see that Shohei pulled an oblique today, too?
A what?
Oblique.
He pulled an oblique?
They say it's cramps, but it looked like he pulled an oblique.
So I saw that he, pitched the one-hitter against the Tigers, and then I saw that he hit the home run, and then after that, I'm like, all right, I got to take my nap. So
he had a great day today. He had the shutout game, full 9 innings, and he had 2 home runs. If anybody could check out Matt Vasgersian's call of it, oh my God, Santa Maria! And then he hurt his, looks like his oblique. I wouldn't be surprised if they upgrade that injury the next few days here.
Woo! Interesting. So that's all heading up to next Tuesday's deadline. Then we got NFL training camp underway. A lot of money being thrown around. Aaron Rodgers taking a $35 million pay cut. Nick Bosa holding out till the Niners maybe give him $30 to $35 million per year. Josh Jacobs rejected $12 million a year. And I was hesitant to have Jesse pick up Chipotle this morning because I was worried about spending an extra $10. Brutal.
And the
Just-
music fades out. Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Well, one more thing.
Oh,
Calvin.
Jesus.
It seems that all the way also from training camp, Joe Burrow, that injury that really sucks.
Yeah.
The other thing that really stood out was Calvin Ridley and how quick he looked compared to Zay Jones. That was a video going around viral. Well, he also said that he wants to reclaim his name and get himself back out there. So you could say that Calvin Ridley betting on himself.
Literally with his name.
Well, he's also betting. Just
Oh.
yeah.
Well done, Steven.
Gotcha.
That went over my head there.
Yeah.
Well done. By the way, did you see? I know we always overreact to training camp clips, but did you see the Jackson Smith and Jigbo one-hand catch?
No.
It was pretty sweet.
Really?
It was pretty sweet.
Lovely. You know what I did see? Jimmy Garoppolo in slow motion throwing a bubble screen. It was like,
And there's a lot of people out there who didn't think he was gonna play, but he did. And I want to hear it from the Brickster. Speed Brick.
I'm telling you, man, I'm giving it till week 5 or week 6 when he's calling for Brian Hoyer to take over. Although, I
John
don't know.
Thomas Brick.
I don't know. Like,
Don't quote me on his actual name.
I know we got a lot to get through, but like,
We do.
whatever. Like the fact that Garoppolo's on the Raiders, still can't believe it. But you know what? This is the quarterback that you got. Apparently, the teammates like him, and that's all you got to go off of.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the money disparity between all 4 quarterbacks in the AFC West, and I think Jimmy's just around along for the ride for right now. But we'll discuss that. But you touched on it a little bit, Steven. As far as today, when it comes to training camp, really, really sad news. Jalen Ramsey, he could be the douche at times, but
That's putting it lightly.
no one wants to see injuries, and
No.
he hurt his meniscus,
Yeah.
and he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. It was, I guess, supposed to be where they're going to look at it, clean it up a little bit. He could be back for the opener, and Ian Rappaport followed up and said, just to play it safe, they're going to keep him out until early December. So that's kind of a big blow to the Dolphins.
Yeah, that sucks, man, because like I don't know. We don't talk about defense at all. We always talk about like the kind of quarterback.
Maybe you do.
Well, what?
I always talk about defense.
Well, we try to, right? But not a lot of people do. Like a lot of people focus on the quarterback tandem. It's Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I mean, unfortunately, now that his name's in my head, Joe Burrow and good Lord, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. But with the Dolphins, like that Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey combo, that could have been lethal, like lethal. So
well, they still have a good young corner. I forget his name. They drafted him a couple years ago. They'll be okay, but that is a big blow, and they'll just be that much better, hopefully, as they head into the playoffs. But you never know in this crazy NFL. The other injury today, Joe Burrow. I watched the injury, the video of it. He's running around, and he immediately grabs his calf. It looks like his hammy just popped. I know everyone's going to go to the ACL thing from a couple years ago with Chase Young. I don't think it's an ACL. They didn't say it was an ACL. They said it was a calf strain. I think he'll be fine. It's just, they'll probably keep him out the rest of the preseason. No preseason games. He'll, what really sucks is that everyone sees that Joe Burrow goes down literally 2 days after Justin Herbert signs his contract, and Joe Burrow is expected to exceed what Justin Herbert got a couple days ago, and he got a ridiculous contract.
Yeah. But it does suck, but I also think that the fact that it hasn't been like released with news that he's actually going to be out for the season, normally they do that really quick. Like it's kind
Joe
of
Burrow.
Yeah, they like before they evaluate it, they don't wait, like 2 or 3 days to tell you that he's going to be done for the season. They really try to evaluate it. Normally they know right away, like, oh, he's done. Like this is not going to work. So I think it's with the amount that we don't know at this point. I think he's I think he'll be all right. I'm not saying that he's going to be starting week 1, but I don't think it's like a season-ending thing.
No, I think he'll be okay to start week 1. I think that there's enough time. Training camp just started. We got a full month going here. I think everything will be just fine. But this is the shit that happens at training camp. CJ Gardner-Johnson, there was a scare the other day. He'll be fine. I think there was another injury that I forgot. Oh, Naeem Hines, not even a training camp,
Yeah.
sitting idly on a jet ski, and some asshole just takes him out, ruins his season. Now the Bills don't want to pay him this year because it wasn't on the practice field. That sucks.
Who the hell drives a jet ski and runs into somebody?
Yeah,
Was he on the lake with Kenny Powers or something? Like, what the hell happened?
that's true. Or he's having the fight out scene at the end of Face Off. Was that on jet skis? No, that was on an actual boat.
I can't think of the jet ski movie.
Yeah, I can't think of any cool jet ski action sequences. Anyway, but let's talk about some Bay Area unity, Stephen. You went Tuesday night. I went last night.
Yeah.
And it was just great to see. I wore my Cell shirt. Giants fans were selling Cell shirts in black, and we all know the friendly rivalry that is A's Giants. There really is not a rivalry if you want to count the 1989 World Series, where a natural disaster kind of ruined things, but yet the A's were the better team. Let's be honest. Anyway, it was just good to see. Obviously, the Giants are 10 times better than the A's. I think most baseball teams are 10 times better than the A's right now.
Yeah, it's not that hard to be that.
Exactly.
Right
exactly.
Now.
And little pick me up for the Giants after that 6-game skid. But it was good to see. I think that everyone in agreement that lives in the Bay Area, Giants fans know that they dominate. They dominate. And there really is no reason to shit on the A's. There really isn't. So even though I heard some A's chants last night, but regardless, I thought it was a good show of unity between both fan bases. And I think that everybody would agreement that it's good for the Bay Area to have both teams. And sadly, we're not going to have that going forward.
The message didn't really get around like on Tuesday night than it did back at the Coliseum. Nobody really did like a moment of silence in to start the fifth inning. The fifth inning just kind of happened. And I remember just kind of watching it because I stay silent most of the time anyway. I mean, come on, I got to, keep this beauty of a voice intact. I can't go yelling at some game the night before, right?
Don't look at that. Your velvety pipes. I got you.
Yeah. No, but I'm normally silent anyway, so I was just sitting there. Then the sell the team chance started happening. All right, cool. But to be honest, there wasn't like much of a buzz, like as I assumed there was in the Coliseum. Like the Coliseum, that whole thing, it was a reverse boycott. It was everything. And then this one, it just felt like the sell the team chance. They don't get me wrong, the A's fans were doing it in left field. The guys from like Oakland 68s and the Last Dive Bar, they were getting it started in the bleachers and everyone started to do it. But it's not like everyone's sole focus at that game was to kind of like support the A's on their last ride out. And I'm not going to lie, man, like after I saw that, I made the joke at the top with the Just Your Headlines, man. But with Manfred, him getting hired again, like it just shows, even though it's great that the voices are heard and, like it's gone from here to T-Mobile Park in the All-Star game. Apparently T-Mobile Park not allowing the Cell shirts like they did in the All-Star game anymore. People are tweeting out about that they're getting rejected from going in when they're wearing the shirt that you're wearing right now. But
now why is that?
I don't ask me. But then I saw that news with Manfred, and it's like, this dude, there's not a single fan I know that likes Rob Manfred. There's not a single fan that I know that thinks he does anything well. But these owners seem to love him because I don't know the ins and outs of business. I don't know the ins and outs of these TV deals that they're getting sorted out. Right now, Major League Baseball is distributing a lot of these games that are being dropped by Bally Sports and their parent company, Diamond Sports, whatever. But like, can baseball just have one commissioner that everyone likes for once? In my lifetime, I haven't had a single one because I haven't lived that long and there's only been a couple. But like, I don't know, just after the owners voted him in and knowing that he's been kind of like the biggest proponent of the A's moving out of Oakland, like the Cell thing, I think it has fallen on deaf ears. And then number two, I don't think that if they do sell, there's a guarantee that they're going to sell the team to Oakland, to an ownership group in Oakland. Like if they sell the team, it's probably going to be to like, I don't know, one of these wealthy casino owners who I've never heard of in Las Vegas, and they'll just take over. Like they clearly think Las Vegas is the hub for sports right now. So it's just in the end,
or the Sphere.
With this, right? That's what they need. They just put a big ass sphere in the middle of the field. But I don't know, man. I just listen to it. It's great. Like I love that, and that the Bay Area is coming together. But it's going to be all for nothing by the end of it.
It is, but it's just good to see because Giants fans, can be a little
obnoxious.
Yeah, there you go. You say it, Steven. And they kind of crap on the A's sometimes in the city of Oakland, just like,
well, it goes both ways.
But it's more so out of just anger, like you're poking the bear a little bit, like you. And obviously, it's ironic to have that celebration in that ballpark because that kind of signified the end of the A's in Oakland. The Giants get their beautiful ballpark, and then the A's are like, "Well, shit, look at our dump." And I love it, but
right,
it is what it is.
Who said? I think it wasn't Gabriel Hernandez from the Last Dive Bar. I think it was one of the other organizers, but I was reading this piece in the Mercury News, and they said something to the effect of, it's not like a rivalry, like say Giants Dodgers, where these two fan bases legitimately hate each other. It's more of a rivalry where
it's a friendly rivalry.
You talk shit back and forth, but the loser's going to buy beer. Like that's what it is. So
yep.
I understand all that, but there's been some times though where there's been some vitriol, like
of course
went to every single A's Giants series game when they actually had 3 games per series instead of this stupid ass 2, which is just ridiculous.
But,
well, there's also some hostility between some fans depending on who you're talking to.
Well, there was once upon a time where they would do a 4-game series, 2 at the Coliseum, 2 at whatever the name of the park was at the time. But yeah, the 2 now and 2 in a couple weeks thing is lame to me.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, Steven, where the focus wasn't supposed to be about the A's that night, I was expecting a lot. Like Giants fans at the end of the day, they're going to root for their team. And it was an opportunity for them to show support for the A's, and I'm glad they did anything. If they, they could have taken our green cell shirts and wiped their ass with it, and that would have been extremely disrespectful. But I'm glad they did anything. I'm glad that they showed support.
Yeah, it's all it was, though, man, because it's just the inevitable's coming, man. The inevitable's coming.
I know it is, and whatever happens will be sad. You wonder if they're going to play at the Coliseum next year. They got to fulfill some TV contracts too, so it'll be tough. I do not know what the outcome will be next year. Before we finish up with baseball and go on to football, you brought it up. Tom Verducci reported yesterday that trade talks for Shohei Ohtani are off the table. He will remain an Angel for the rest of the season. And he had a great game today. Your thoughts, Steven? Are the Angels screwing themselves by not trading Shohei Ohtani?
I think they did last year. By not trading everything they could for him, because I know they had him under team control for one more year before he was an unrestricted free agent, and they had all the time in the world. But I think last year was the time to do it. This year, he's somehow gone up a level. Like, people are calling him the greatest baseball player of all time after this series. Like, there's no way you could trade that guy. Not now. Not after what he just did today. Like, could you imagine how much of a joke it would be if they were 9 games out of the wild card, but Shohei did what he was doing today instead of whatever they were when they talked about not trading him, which was 4.5 games back or whatever it was. Can you imagine if they actually did that? That'd be just foolish to get rid of a talent like that. I don't think the Angels are going to do anything, because even with him now, they're not doing much. So it's a double-edged sword.
If Shohei Ohtani was half the player that he is, meaning if he was just a hitter or a pitcher, I feel like he would have been traded. But I think that from when I was listening to Tom Verducci's report on MLB Network, and he came on with us today, he basically said that the compensation was not going to be any farm system players. It was going to be for current talent, and no team can offer what is equal to a Shohei Ohtani. So I think it's impossible to trade this guy. And I think he's going to get a $600 million contract when we get to December during the winter meetings. And I think the Giants have a better shot to get him then, but they're going to be competing with the likes of the Dodgers and the Mets and the Padres. and we'll see if he's interested. But I never thought Shohei Ohtani was going to get traded.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much. You'd have to, for one, you'd have to trade everything for your future. And number two, you'd also have to take Shohei Ohtani and essentially rebuild your team like they've been trying to do with the Angels for the past, whatever it's been, 4 or 5 years. So you'd be right in that position they were in 2018 or 2019, whenever it was that he came over here.
Actually, I was wrong. I did. There was one podcast when you were like, maybe they are going to trade him when Trout got injured, but
Yeah,
in reality, there's no way you could trade him. There's nothing, like, you have to gut your whole goddamn roster. That's why it was like the Giants talk with it. Like, they just called up Marco Luciano a couple days ago. You want to trade him already? Like, all this young talent that Farhan's bringing. And I know Farhan didn't sign Marco Luciano, but you gonna gut the whole roster for this guy now with them winning?
right. Probably not worth it. Then, like, what? Kyle Harrison, Carson Wisenhunt. Look, the only untradeable guy, and he's the official Giants prospect of Just Your Opinion, man. And we didn't really agree on that. I made him the official prospect, but it's Von Brown. All right. If Von Brown, the only untradeable player, everyone else would have been okay with it. He may be in AA.
God,
Von Brown.
You Giants fans love this prospect talk.
It's Von Brown, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you name the starting lineup for the A's right now?
Nope.
There you go.
Is Ramon Laureano still on the team?
Yeah, he is.
Thank God.
There you go.
All right, let's move on to some football.
Not for long, though. He'll probably get traded by next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true.
Who the hell is Von Brown, Ernie? Well, he plays the outfield.
All right,
like
Steve.
One year he hit 42 home runs, stole 50 plus bases.
Oh, good. I didn't know I could do that. We could mute each other. It's like around the horn.
Oh, no.
It's a good little thing. So now if we're ever sick of each other's points, we could just shut each other up.
Yeah, by the time you're on the third top 5 storyline heading into NFL training camp, I'll be sure to mute your mic.
I already did that last week, Stephen. There's no need to go into that.
I wish I knew that we had that feature before I could get to Chris Jones getting a contract extension.
Yeah, that's interesting shit.
Is it?
Affects the Raiders in some way.
Is it?
All right. Niners reported a training camp on Tuesday, actually.
Yeah.
And all offseason we've been hearing, well, Brock Purdy, he's got to get time to heal and everything. We don't know if he's going to start the season. Okay, August 21st, he should be good to go. Then Matt Maiocco came on with Tolbert and Copes the day before training camp opened, and he goes, I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy gets cleared to go tomorrow. We were like, whoa, okay. And sure enough, Brock Purdy cleared to go. No need for Trey Lance to take first-team reps. No need for Sam Darnold to take first-team reps. It's Brock Purdy's show. A year ago, Kyle Shanahan told the world at training camp, it's not Jimmy's team anymore. We're going to put him off to the side like a stepchild and just, not acknowledge him. And we're going to have Trey Lance. Even though we're not confident in him, we're going to have him run our first-team offense. And then shit happened. They brought Jimmy back, and Trey got hurt. Fast forward to training camp opening this year. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch tell the world, pretty much, Brock Purdy's our guy. And now you wonder about the future for Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. It's a battle for the second quarterback on the depth chart. And all indications that we've heard through training camp or mini camp is that Trey Lance looks good. But everyone keeps talking about Sam Darnold. And I think the best case scenario for Trey Lance to remain on this team was going to be that he was going to show a little bit more in training camp running with the ones. And there's going to be days where Brock Purdy has to rest given the injury and whatnot. But I think this kind of hurts him. This now is straight up him being the backup. It's going to be interesting to see the battle in preseason, even though we've seen Trey Lance play well in preseason. We saw it 2 years in a row. So I don't know what they're really looking for. If Sam Darnold has a better grasp of the offense than Trey Lance, I do believe that there is a scenario where Trey Lance will be traded before the season starts. I still think of the Minnesota Vikings. They're not all in on Kirk Cousins. He's got a 1-year deal left. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make that move. Now, it could just be that they are, Brock could not, he could struggle a little bit with the injury. So we could see about that. They could want just a stable of quarterbacks to never have to deal with what they did a year ago in the NFC Championship game. But there are quarterback-hungry teams, and I think at this point, everyone's in agreement. I've said this from the get-go. Kyle Shanahan did not want to draft Trey Lance, but he went with it. And now he found his guy. You listen to Tim Kawakami's podcast, and Kyle Shanahan pretty much says, I knew Brock Purdy was my guy when he was ready to go in that Thursday night preseason, or not preseason, that Thursday night game against the Seattle Seahawks, and he was injured, and then he just gutted it out and played. And I think he likes this guy. And if he performs well and they never look back, then I think the organization would be in agreement that I know we gave up 3 first-round picks to get this guy, but at this point, we found our quarterback.
See, I think I agree with what you said before you said but, which is I don't think they want something happening like they did last year. I think they'll hang on to Lance. I think they will, whether it's him or Sam Darnold. Kyle Shanahan could take some notes, by the way, from Frank Reich of the Panthers. Frank Reich, the only quote that I saw from him yesterday, Bryce is our QB1. That's all you need. Just say it. Say that Purdy's the QB1. Just admit it. Like he doesn't admit it. He doesn't say it definitively. He just says, I think Brock's doing some good things and stuff. He's working with the ones and stuff, and he's doing all this and stuff. And he says and stuff a lot. So, like he just needs to say that, number one. But number two, I really don't think he wants another situation like last year, where even with this type of roster that they like, because they've admitted it, like Deebo Samuel in the best shape of his life, Brandon Ayuk still kind of being the standout wide receiver at training camp. Christian McCaffrey is going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think it's very smart they're not overworking him, by the way, because I think Christian McCaffrey's health is huge for this season. George Kittle's George Kittle. Like, I think they feel they have enough, but also the question is, do they feel like the roster is good enough that a guy like Brandon Allen can be the third string guy? And then maybe they'll have the wiggle room to kind of just trade Trey Lance. Like, I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think he'll be traded. Personally, I don't think Brandon Allen's that guy, but if somehow they feel like, hey, we're down 2 quarterbacks and we need someone to run the system and Brandon Allen can be him, then all right. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know.
They may want to keep Trey around just because it's the second year of Brock Purdy. And sometimes sophomore years for quarterbacks, they show a little rust because teams got some film on them. But they feel confident in this guy. I think way more confident than they ever felt in Trey, which is telling. I'm with you, Steven. It may be the best for them to go forward with all 3 quarterbacks. And maybe have Brandon Allen on the practice squad. But Brandon Allen also backed up Joe Burrow. Now, that's a different scenario altogether because you have a elite quarterback with the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Niners were still figuring out who their quarterback was going to be. So I wouldn't be surprised at anything at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold's the number 2. Wouldn't be surprised if Trey Lance is the number 2. Wouldn't be surprised if Trey Lance is traded before the season. Wouldn't be surprised if Trey Lance is traded at the deadline. Anything's on the table. It's going to be very fascinating, but I think the reality is it's Brock Purdy's team, and it's his opportunity to lose. And it sounds like he's got all the confidence in the world.
So if they trade Trey Lance before the season and Brock doesn't work out, so what? They're just going to move forward with Sam Darnold as their franchise quarterback? Like that's what the team needs. They need a franchise guy.
Did you see Kyle Shanahan's interview with Tim Kawakami's smoking buddy, Mike Silver?
No, Jesus. How many Shanahan interviews have you watched this past week?
Well, I just read it.
Oh, okay. Good.
By the way, that's a joke. You remember that old John Herrera clip?
No.
Oh, there's John Herrera, the old PR guy for the Raiders, is like yelling at Tim Kawakami. And he's like, yeah, you and your old smoking buddy, Mike Silver.
Wait, was that the Davis overhead projector conference?
It might have been that. No, it was when they were firing Tom Cable.
Oh, I think I have seen that.
And
Tim Kawakami, I didn't know the name.
Yeah, and Tim Kawakami's in the back just going, "You're embarrassing yourself, John." um, so sorry. What was your question? Oh, it wasn't an interview. It was just an article
Mm.
where Kyle Shanahan compared Sam Darnold, kind of like you, to Steve Young in the sense that their careers really didn't start until later on. Steve Young went to Tampa Bay, and then he figured things out with the Niners once he got his opportunity when Joe Montana got injured. Sam, people shit on him. Kyle likes him.
Well,
Kyle likes Sam Darnold.
I don't think though too if you're a 49er fan, because I've seen this a lot where it's the verdict on Trey, we're making it way too soon. Like this guy can be a franchise quarterback. Well, you got to say the same for Sam Darnold though, because in his career, sure he was seeing ghosts or whatever, and if you listen to his interview on Pardon My Take, as recommended by our very own Carl Buszczyk, he can make light of that now. But God, that start to his career, like at least he got out of New York, got out of Carolina when there's no stability. Like there's no stability anywhere within the organizations that he was a part of. He did flash talent. I remember that one game against the Niners that they had when it was a blowout. Niners already had the win. I think
Yeah.
was that might have been
the turf game.
The turf game. Yeah. And God, man, he made this throw where he was rolling out to his left and throws across his body and hits Braxton Berrios in stride. And you're like, geez, I see why this guy was whatever he was, a third overall pick. I understand why based on that throw. Like the talent is there, but he just needs someone who can give him some actual direction instead of Adam Gase.
Yeah. Think back on that draft. Isn't it funny? Baker Mayfield, not with the Browns. Saquon Barkley going through his own shit with the Giants.
Well, he's back now. He's making
we'll get to that in a little bit
for
here.
For a year.
And then Sam Darnold, kind of discarded like third overall pick, maybe like Trey Lance. We shall see. I do not know what will happen with that.
But you got to say the same for him, though. Is really the point that we're getting to here, and this could be the time when he turns things around, maybe. But God, Trey Lance has been here for so long, though. There's a certain affinity you have with a player, or towards a player rather, when he's your guy. I think that's why the fan base is kind of holding dear to him, is because it's like when he was drafted third overall, it's like when he came out of college, it was like they did not mess up this draft pick. Finally, we have a future quarterback, because he's got all the talent in the world. Like his talent it's evident, man. There's no denying that he has talent, like his arm strength, his speed, everything, size. He's got all of it, and he can run a huddle. But also, we haven't been like within the meeting rooms behind closed doors. There's a very real chance that maybe he didn't get a grasp on the offense as quick as they'd have hoped. It's just like every year, whenever they talk about him, it's like, oh, he's shown so much more improvement than last year. So much more improvement than last year. Well, how much you said he was this confident last year, though. So
yeah.
He's more, that's where I'm kind of, it feels like last year they were saving. Are they doing the same thing again this year? Are they just tried to make it sound like it's going much better than it is? I don't know.
I think that with how good the roster is, besides the quarterback position, they were forced into this, bringing back Jimmy, Brock being great. They just don't want to screw up a chance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, in their eyes, winning a Super Bowl is way more important than whoever they drafted third overall. And I think fans need to get over that too. I think there will come a day where I think it's pretty evident that Kyle has chosen Brock Purdy over Trey Lance. And we'll see if Trey gets another opportunity. I just don't believe that he ever wanted to do this. I think he wanted Mac Jones, and now he's found his better Mac Jones and Brock Purdy with the last pick of the draft.
Well, also Trey Lance, though, is a much easier player to root for than Mac Jones. Mac Jones is known as like one of the dirtiest players in the NFL now.
Dirty.
Thanks to
those two things.
Thanks to the AI bot reporter Dov Kleiman. So Like he's posts his videos every single year. Like what I hate though is that when I say these things about Lance, I don't want to. like this dude seems to be a very stand-up individual. I know he
Yeah.
had the one video that got posted that shouldn't have been shared though. That's what he was doing in the privacy of his that club.
A
But
man is allowed to have a stripper in his
a
house.
man's allowed to do that, but so are women as well, for that matter. Equality. So, but Lance though, like he's such a good dude.
You saw
And-
Barbie, didn't you?
I did not. I'm rooting for him. Like he's also got that underdog kind of he's also got that underdog story where it's like comes from North Dakota State, didn't play in the big schools and had this, really I guess crappy introduction to the NFL considering, where we were at that time and his injuries and everything. Like I really want this guy to succeed, man. Like, I really do. But it's just I'm going off the results here, and I'm still just wondering with the talent. Everyone can see the talent. Like I hear this all the time with the arm, the talent, and everything like that. I really don't know what else to kind of question with him other than maybe it's like what goes on with the meetings and talking about the offense and this play here. What do you run in this situation when this defense shows the front? I know I'm rambling here, but the Playmakers podcast that we saw with Shanahan, like a huge thing with Shanahan is understanding what the defenses are doing. Like maybe not even just running the offense and knowing what plays to run, but seeing what the defense is giving you and knowing which read to make, which audible to call if they're giving you this look.
Yes.
What we learned from that Playmakers podcast with Shanahan is that, sure, he's a great play designer, but how he really became the play caller he is today, it's because of how he understands defenses and him being so ingrained within the defensive rooms, the meetings with everybody. So I think that might be something too.
I think it's also the coach. And Sean McVay had Jared Goff, guy that went to the Super Bowl. And even he was like, we could do better than this. Kyle, I think, is the same way where he's like, yeah, we drafted this guy third overall, but I got a guy that I drafted with the last pick in the draft that understands my offense better than Trey Lance does. I don't think these guys care.
Bro, if Shanahan had Goff would have been shipped on the way out as soon as Kyle Shanahan got there. Shanahan's like, what? I got to tell you what plays to call when the clock is winding down before they turn off the microphone in the helmet?
You don't know if the sun sets in the west or right. Remember that whole thing from Hard Knocks?
Oh yeah. You don't know whether it's a cover 2 or cover 3 and stuff when the nickel's possibly blitzing and stuff.
I hate that you stole my Kyle Shanahan impression.
Yeah, well, that's what great artists do, right? It's what Pablo Picasso said. Good artists create, great artists steal. And you stole my With Arms Wide Open remix, and I'm never going to forgive you for that.
Steven, it wasn't that I stole it. You made yours, I made mine, and mine was played during the daytime, and yours was played at night. So
this was the time when I looked up to you as a producer.
Well, I'm glad you admit it finally.
And I don't know why I did at the time. Very
you know why?
Misjudged on my part.
Because in the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit.
I remember texting you on the way home from Bart that day. Hey, dude, I just made this song. Can you take a look at it? Is this funny? Do you think people will like this?
And I told you yes.
And then you made one yourself.
Well, Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors, and I was like, I need a song. And I love Creed.
I gave you, but I also didn't I give you another suggestion with Kevin Durant? You could have taken my Tom Jones Kevin Durant remix. He is Katie. Whoa, 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 he is Katie.
Yeah, you could be the Tom Jones guy.
He is all you ever want. He's got style. He's got funk. He is Katie.
Yeah, at that point, I was the Creed guy because I did the John Dickinson song with the voice. So it was only natural. It was only natural. I'm sorry, Steven. One day I'll give you the residuals for that song.
Still pissed that I never made that KD remix. I had that one like just in my head. I wanted to do it, never did.
The one thing I was a little surprised about with Niners training camp was, I was surprised about Brock Purdy being fully healthy, but I thought that Nick Bosa was going to be a hold in, not a holdout. He is not showing up until he gets that contract. It's a big difference. Holding in, you're there.
No, it is. I'm sorry. I don't like the term holding in.
Why?
Just sounds like it's reminiscent of constipation.
Yeah.
I
Or,
mean,
having a pee-pee.
Just don't. He's not holding in. He's just waiting for a contract. Do we have to have a term for it? A hold in? Just feels weird.
Regardless, Nick Bosa is not showing up to Niners camp until he gets that new contract, and you would assume that he's going for the richest defensive player in the NFL. Currently, Aaron Donald makes $31 million a year. You got to believe that Nick Bosa is shooting for 33, 35, and I think he deserves it. You win Defensive Player of the Year, you get 18 sacks. Can't believe I'm saying this. You're better than Khalil Mack at this point. Oh God. Yeah, I would say that he deserves that contract.
Absolutely. This guy's been it's no surprise. Like, sure, they got, Fred Warner and these new guys coming up, Talanoa Hufanga, obviously Dre Greenlaw there too. I mean, did you see that linebacking core post the shirtless photo? Fred Warner posted it on Instagram. You don't have Instagram, so you didn't see it.
Sorry, I'm not looking up shirtless linebackers.
But I'm not looking it up. It just popped up on my feed, and I'll tell you something. That is not for the faint of the insecure heart, if you have one. Good Lord, these guys are just shredded it's unbelievable. But anyway, well, not
shredded like a Julian salad, man.
Not unbelievable, but anyway, in 2019, when that defense truly turned into the defense that the Niners are today, it did start with drafting Nick Bosa and just his presence off the edge. Like, I know you had DeForest Buckner at the time, but like with Buckner along with Armstead and just making all of these defensive linemen better. I know, Chris Kasarik is the longtime defensive line coach, and I know that he's really good, but there are other good defensive line coaches around the league. And when, say, like Arden Key, for example, was with the Raiders, they had one of the better defensive line coaches in the NFL, believe it or not. Sometimes you just need other players on this defensive line to make you better, and Nick Bosa does that. So not only are they paying for the player, but they're also paying so that these guys of lesser value can maximize what they're best at. And it's like, Bosa's just such a beast, man. I remember that. I remember that Panthers game. Was that Brandon Allen or Kyle Allen with the Panthers? I remember that Panther.
He picked him off.
When he picked him off, I'm like, this dude, he straight up went up like he was Bobby Boucher at the field goal line with the kicker, he just jumped up, snagged it out of the air. What? And then to hear his voice too. God, his voice. When I first heard him mic'd up, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Dude, you killed me when you did your first impression of Nick Bosa, where it's
my God.
So, I want you really want to sack the quarterback, and I saw Baker, and I was like, Baker.
And then when they were playing against the Falcons, and I think Julio Jones caught a pass out the backfield, and then like Nick Bosa chased him down, and then he just gets up, starts walking back to the line. He's like, I just tackled Julio Jones.
That's a sackaroonie, baby.
It's a sackaroonie. Hey, Richard Sherman, have you ever seen Ice Age? You're like the squirrel with the nut who just chases after the nut. That's you. Sherman gave a fake ass laugh. He was like,
I've seen that. My kids watch that.
I'm not messing with you, Nick, but it's just, this dude's so menacing. But anyway, it in all deserves it. Absolutely deserves it.
I agree, and I think they're going to get it to him pretty soon here. You've seen in the past couple of years, George Kittle did not hold out, but he got the highest paid tight end money. And then Debo was a hold in, and that's where he said he was out of shape, and he's been sending shirtless photos to Kyle Shanahan to show he's in shape. And he got his money, I think, July 31st last year. So give it a couple of weeks. Nick Bosa will be paid handsomely.
Nah, they always wait for this sort of stuff. Trent Williams got his contract too, like pretty much right before training camp. That actually broke when I was doing the pregame show on 95.7. That's when the 5 a.m. show started getting its real respect, because we'd always do like a betting pool. Who do you think's going to be getting the breaking Trent Williams news first? Is it going to be the mornings, middays, afternoons? How about the early morning? The guys doing the dirty work at 5 to 6. How about that? because that broke at like 5:45. Also, didn't really know how to talk about it much further than, all right, he got paid, but we got there.
That comes with the territory too. It's like, all right, how do I talk about this now?
It's like, all right, well, an offensive tackle got paid. How do I make this sound interesting?
He got paid. Cool. Anyway,
I think I started like talking about him being like I just started waxing poetic about his athleticism and his speed and how he was running routes like a tight end when he was with Washington, and Vernon Davis told that story once.
knowing you probably had a whole show plan. It's like, damn, I was gonna talk about Shooter for a full hour.
No, I was yeah, it really cut into my time when I was doing my top 10 NFL players with their names ending in ski.
So, Steven, you shit on me for doing my top 5 training camp storylines, and you want to go with that brilliant topic?
It's a joke. That was during a bye week. It was my boneheaded power rankings. A lot of people looked forward to that, Derek.
The Ernies did, the pre-gamers.
Dude.
One guy that is looking for a new contract. Josh Jacobs. That is the biggest thing with the Raiders in training camp right now. Jimmy Garoppolo has been, practicing, and all indications are he's been looking good. I don't really, keep up with a lot of the. Well, I see Vic Tafur and Paul Gutierrez. I don't see much clips. I know you mentioned the check down that Jimmy had in one practice, but he's the quarterback going forward. He's the quarterback until injury happens, and that very well could.
Jeez.
But what?
Until injury happens.
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't.
History's not on his side. I'll give you that.
Yes. Not rooting for injuries here. I'm not like Tom and Copes rooting for a Deshaun Watson injury. Good Lord. Even though he did. I understand it, but hey, you never know who you're going to draft in fantasy sometimes. Anyway,
he'll probably blame his injury on the media if he gets injured.
Yeah, that was unnecessary, Deshaun. Anyway, with the Raiders, the biggest thing right now is when Josh Jacobs is going to show up, if he's going to show up at all, because apparently the day of training camp, he hopped on a flight out of Las Vegas. And once I saw the Saquon Barkley news that what's a good way to say this, settled and took a 1 year, $11 million contract, $1 million better than the $10 million he was going to make on the franchise tag with incentives, and then he can make up to $12 million this year. He's got to have the best season of all time, though, that he's ever had in his career to get get that extra million. I wonder if that's now going to put a shit ton of pressure on Josh Jacobs to sign, because if Saquon Barkley was like, all right, I'll just take $11 million and we'll call it a day. Apparently, so initially, I guess Saquon was offered a $13 million contract, and he declined that. And once the Giants were told we're not taking that contract, they were like, well, we're done here then. And they stood their ground, and they're not going to budge. And Saquon's been in the NFL for a few years now, since 2018. He had that ACL tear, and he had a good season coming back. But people wonder about, your body's breaking down when you're a running back. And Josh Jacobs bet on himself last year. He went out, kind of showcased in the Hall of Fame game. Josh, they drafted Zamir White, and then Josh McDaniels ran him to the rushing title, the first Raider rushing title since, I think, 1985 with Marcus Allen. And he thought he was going to get a big old contract. I believe the Raiders offered him a $12 million contract for 1 year, and he declined that. I don't know what Josh Jacobs is looking for. He's a very young player in the prime of his career, so he has a few years on him. I think it would be okay for the Raiders to sign him to a 3-year deal or something like that while he's this young and leading the league in rushing. But there is the whole market with running backs right now. And Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler could be like, we didn't draft this guy. It was, Mike Mayock and John Gruden's decision to trade away Khalil Mack, a pass rusher, and draft a running back with the pick that we obtained from the Chicago Bears. That was their decision, not ours. And the Patriot way was to never really value running backs. It could be a terrible decision on their part, because I think in order for Jimmy Garoppolo to succeed in this offense, he needs Josh Jacobs. Nevertheless, it seems like the Raiders are not going to budge. This could get very ugly. I don't think it's in the best interest of Josh Jacobs to miss games. It never works out when players do that. But when he's this young, I do understand that he wants to get his money.
It's the guarantees. It's the guarantees. If anything, like Jacobs has been all over Twitter. It's the guarantees. I don't know what they guaranteed him, but it clearly wasn't up to whatever he wanted. Gosh, excuse me. The only thing that makes this worse, though, and Ernie just pointed this out, it's going to get ugly like Khalil Mack. At least, like, this whole thing, I mean, at least the Raiders kind of have a point in that they're just following the model of everyone in the NFL, whereas with Khalil Mack, you had a game-changing edge rusher in the prime of his career right there for the payment. And, like, you're not going to find another guy like that. No, they're not going to find another guy who leads the league in rushing just like that either. Josh Jacobs, I think, is a lot better than others out there, but they can find one that's serviceable enough. I think the only thing would be, it seems Josh Jacobs has like made up his mind, pretty steadfast, and it seems like he wants to hold out for the year. It seems like he just does not want to play until he gets his money. And the only thing that could fix it is there needs to be someone in his ear telling him, giving him some sort of opinion, saying, hey man, you got to go back. Like, sure, you can hold out. You can still get your money. Le'Veon Bell did that. I'm sure another team will be willing to pay you, but even so, they got other running backs in this league. What if another rookie just pans out and maybe a team that's looking for a running back this year, not looking for the running back next year? You know, like what if? There's too many what ifs that can happen if you take this season off as opposed to holding out. And me and my brother were getting into like an argument about this, and it had to end with, let's agree to disagree. Because my brother thinks, yeah, he can hold out, just wait for a year, and he'll be right back to it. Saves him from wear and tear. But I'm like, it does save him from wear and tear, but you can make the argument that the tear, there's not going to be as much wear, no doubt. But the fact of a tear, well, that might be a little more likely if he takes a year off and his body's just not used to playing in the NFL again. So there's a lot of risk involved. So the only way that I think he would come back is if someone got to him, like a friend, a teammate. I don't know who it was. Maybe even Le'Veon Bell. I don't know. And just say, hey man, don't do this. Don't do what I did. But it also just sucks to be a running back. We've said it on the podcast before. It sucks to be a running back. And these guys just like, I hate, and she's not going to be happy because Jesse says this a lot. But I can't stand the saying it is what it is, because that just means there's nothing that we can really do about things, which is true. I just don't like that saying because it just feels like that's it. But it is just what it is with the NFL right now. And Jacobs could be taking a stand, and maybe it'll change things for running backs, but does he really want to sacrifice his career when no one else was willing to? Potentially sacrifice his career when no one else was willing to.
Do you like the phrase, and that's that?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Better than it is what it is?
Well, it is what it is kind of like, well, you're defeated. It is what it is. And that's that. That's like a demand.
Yeah, you know? I always think about that. If you notice in Goodfellas and Casino, that's always said when someone gets whacked. Like when they kill Joe Pesci's character, they're like Robert De Niro's character, Jimmy Conway's like, hey, what happened? Is everything good? We had a problem. Yeah, we lost him. He's gone. And that's that. We could do nothing about it. And that's that. He's like, well, shit, that's that. They killed him. I'm pissed off. I'm beating the shit out of the phone booth here, but
heads up, spoiler alert. Jeez.
People seen Goodfellas by now. Come on.
Well, unless we're doing training day again. It's like that. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that.
It's like that.
Hey, it's that. By the way, I watched this Saturday Night Live skit on which kind of was making fun of Goodfellas. I think Alec Baldwin was hosting. I know the name. You don't really want to talk about the name, but he was hosting, and it was like the cold open, and they did that scene through the Copacabana where he's just like introducing all the guys, and
there was Tommy, and
this is Tony 3 times. He says everything 3 times. And then he's like, I'm going to go get the papers. Get the papers. And then,
I kind of vaguely remember that, where they changed the inflection at the end.
Yeah.
To your point, though, that someone needs to get into Josh Jacobs' ear.
Yeah.
Could it be? I mean, like Dalvin Cook did an interview with Rich Eisen recently, and I laugh at it because you think I'm bad about when Dalvin Cook's going to sign. You should watch this interview, Steven. 3 different times, Rich Eisen flustered goes, "So, Dalvin, timetable here. When do we think you're going to sign? Can we look forward to it in a week, a couple days? What's the timeline here?" And Dalvin's like, "Rich, I can't tell you, man. Like, I'm doing business here." He's like, "Okay, who are you interested in? And you know the AFC East teams?" He's like Jones, and I was like, "Rich, chill out." Dalvin Cook talked about a Zoom call that he was on with a bunch of running backs that was orchestrated by Austin Eckler. And I wonder what was said on the Zoom call, because Dalvin Cook makes it seem like they were upset with the social media talk of how easy it is to replace with running backs, like the Matt Miller, Matt Miller, the tweet where he was saying you draft a running back or you want to pay a running back, then you draft another one. He was just talking about the cycle that GMs look at, and a lot of running backs were offended by that tweet. But you shouldn't be mad at him because he's just don't shoot the messenger. That's the reality. The reality is owners don't respect running backs. They think they don't want to pay them. They could be great for fantasy numbers and great for you in the red zone and good for touchdowns, but good for guaranteed money and longevity, not so much. And I think a lot of people, this was an interesting tweet yesterday from Jim Irsay, NFL running back situation. We've negotiated a CBA that took years of effort and hard work and compromise and good faith by both sides. To say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after fact is inappropriate. I believe there's more to the tweet, but I can't see it here. And then, funny enough, Jonathan Taylor's agent, Maliki Kawa, I hope I'm saying that right, but I'm probably butchering that. He says bad faith is not paying your top offensive player. So things are going to get ugly in Indianapolis, too, with Jonathan Taylor, who had a great 2021 season and then kind of fell off last year. I think that GMs and owners have a case here. It's sad, but I think they do have a case here. But it's not fair. It really isn't.
Man, for a guy who's so anti-establishment, Derek, you're one with the establishment. You're like the anti-rage against the machine. You're rage with the machine.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. No, but I mean, like, it's hard to, like, you and I were going through it the other day, talking about running the Super Bowl teams that have 1,000-yard rushers, and it doesn't equate. It's all you need to know about the running back situation is how much money Justin Herbert made. He got paid, was it $262 and $218 million guaranteed if he's healthy. Teams are always going to invest in quarterbacks. That's just the way it is. And running backs, in their eyes, are a dime a dozen. Right. And I wonder what was said on the Zoom call, because Austin Eckler wanted to get traded this offseason. He went around, and by the time he came back, he realized that no one wanted to trade for him. No one was going to give him a different deal than what he was hoping for. And I think, Derrick Henry's going to have to figure out something next season. He's going to be a free agent. He was part of the group chat. And, I'm sure Josh Jacobs looks up to him from Alabama. Saquon, I wonder if Josh Jacobs looked at Saquon Barkley taking that deal right before training camp, and Joe Mixon taking that money a week before training camp started to decrease his salary, and said, "Damn, everyone's screwing me. I led the league in rushing last year, and everybody's going to take what money they could get. What I am young, and I deserve what I should get." He does. He definitely does. But he's just being a running back at a bad time.
Yeah, and he can look at his division rival Chiefs and what they did in the Super Bowl last year with Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon for a majority of the season. Like it's proof that if your team has a quarterback that's good enough, then that can basically, what's the word that I'm looking for? It could compensate for whatever you're lacking in the running back position. But the thing is, though, what makes it complicated for teams like the Raiders and the Giants, for example, I don't think Daniel Jones is a good enough quarterback to where you can just play with any running back. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a good enough quarterback to where you can win with, I don't even know, Brandon Bolden and I think Austin Walter is on the team. Shout out to him. Amir Abdullah, I think, is on the team too. On the roster, Zamir White, another guy. Like, no, he's not. They're not that quarterback. That's what makes this so complicated. And that's where I think the Raiders are screwing up and not paying him. Like, they're putting too much trust or too much faith. McDaniel is putting too much faith in this offense that he hopes is going to translate with a non-greatest of all time quarterback.
Let me ask you something. Do you think if Christian McCaffrey was a free agent this offseason, this past offseason, let's say that the Carolina Panthers traded Christian McCaffrey because he was on the last year of his deal and the Niners traded for him, do you think that he would be making the $16 million that he is right now?
Well, that's different because he's a dual threat guy, but he's also, I mean, it would have depended on the season before. Like if he went like he went or if he played like he played last year, see, like that's the difference. Is he's the kind of guy that can offset maybe a quarterback that's not as talented as everyone else, and he's proven that. So I don't know if he'd be making that money, but I think he'd be in the same boat here. As I think he'd be the one setting the market at least for Barkley and Jacobs and the rest of those guys.
I agree, but I don't think he'd be making more than 11, 12. I think that regardless of how valuable a running back is to certain teams, Raiders, Giants, and definitely the Niners, they run through Christian McCaffrey. But regardless of that, I think they're okay with paying him $16 million right now. But if they had to do it all over again, they wouldn't. And I think
they would have. You know what they would have done? They would have taken a running back in the third round instead of Jake Moody, except that they took him in the fourth round. But anyway, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, Kyle has proven that he can run with anybody, but he likes Christian McCaffrey, so they're okay with him making 16 right now. But there may come a day where they ask him to take a pay cut, because eventually there will come a day where they have to pay a quarterback.
We going over under 10, or I think it's 10.5 a good line to set over under the amount of times we accidentally called Jake Moody Moses Moody.
Now, how often are we going to mention the kicker for the Niners?
Huh?
How often are we going to mention the kicker for the Niners?
Well, look, man, I think there's going to be there might be one game or two when it might come down to a field goal kick, and then they don't have Mr. Reliable. I'm not saying Jake Moody's a bust. He's supposed to be like the next great kicker, and I don't doubt that at all. But if it comes down to one field goal kick and he misses it, then I think Moody's name is going to be mentioned a lot because, especially in a game that's close.
Are we sure he's the guy over Zane Gonzalez?
I think he is. I think he will be.
You're drafting him in the fourth round. You hope so.
I think he will be.
Yeah. And other running back news as well, a guy that's looking to kind of set the market a little bit, Dalvin Cook. We may finally get the end of this, Stephen, because Aaron Rodgers took a $35 million pay cut. He was set to make $110 million. He's going to make $75, fully guaranteed, the next 2 years with the Jets. So sounds to me like he's going to stick around with the Jets for the next 2 years. And as soon as I saw that transaction, I was like, they got some extra cash now. And then the next day, Tom Pelissero today reports Dalvin Cook is on his way to New York to take a visit with the Jets. And all indications are, unless the Patriots make an offer at the last second or the Miami Dolphins, he's going to sign with the Jets. And that's a pretty big move. I think it's kind of overkill. But then again, him going to the Dolphins will kind of be overkill as well. Even though I don't think they have a true lead back. They got Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, and those guys are complimentary running backs. They also drafted a guy, Devin Achane, who could be interesting from Texas A&M. But Breece Hall looked great last year. He tore his ACL. And Michael Carter is a good in-between-the-tacklers guy. If they get Dalvin Cook, that's a spicy meatball. And that's something they say a lot in New York.
Damn. Breece Hall's fantasy value is just going to go down, isn't it?
Well, would you take him, though, coming off the ACL in the
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's risky.
Hell yeah.
I even think it's risky to draft Josh Jacobs at this point, with not knowing what you're going to have with him.
Well, I mean, isn't it just as risky signing Dalvin Cook?
I don't think. What are you talking about?
He's coming off an injury, is he not?
He played all.
Did he play all year last year?
I think it was a shoulder thing that hampered him a few seasons, but I think he was fully healthy last year.
Jeez.
He rushed for 1,000 yards. Over 1,000 yards.
So you know what? I go to my original statement. Why didn't the Vikings re-sign him? That feels like a dumb move to not do it.
Because it's all analytics. They believe in the quarterback more than the running back, and they were going to pay him $10 million. I want to be the least bit surprised now that Saquon Barkley's making 11. The Jets offer him a 1-year, $11 million contract.
Jeez, man. Feels like Dalvin Cook's like 32. He's only 27.
I know. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then we just mentioned Justin Herbert getting his contract, $262, $218 guaranteed, 5 years. Not the same length as a Patrick Mahomes, but they found their guy. So with, I think, all three quarterbacks, not including Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, all quarterbacks in the AFC West that they're not Jimmy Garoppolo are making $50 million guaranteed, or $50 million a year. Mahomes, Wilson, and Herbert. I could be wrong on that. They're all making ridiculous money. And there's Jimmy Garoppolo just being the placeholder until the Raiders find their guy. It's
yeah, they're a few years behind.
Yeah, you would say.
It's okay. It's okay. This is why, like, this is also why, going back to the Josh Jacobs thing, he might be doing himself a favor by getting off the Raiders, because they're not going to do anything competitive over the next few years. Sorry.
Well, did you see the other? Go ahead. Sorry.
See the other way.
Did you see the other rumor today from
this
guy Craig Carton that does the show in the morning?
Craig Carton? You mean the guy who got arrested for insider trading?
Yeah, but now he's got his own show. He used to be with Boomer. He was the one that broke the Dalvin Cook news that he was going to the Jets.
Yeah, Fox, always on the high ground, a nice pillar for morality. Anyway, continue.
He's saying that you should look out, and I'm taking this with a grain of salt because I love when radio guys break news.
Yeah.
He's saying look out for Devontae Adams to get frustrated quickly and want his way out of Las Vegas to go to the Jets.
Okay, yeah, that's not a report. That's just a radio guy being a radio guy.
Exactly.
See, there's a
but then your guy, the AI Dov Kleiman, runs with it, and then I believe him.
The AI bot Dov Kleiman runs with any report because he wants traction. Like, this is what he wants. He wants to take over.
But doesn't he know what he's doing to me?
Who?
Dov Kleiman.
What do you mean, does he know what he's doing to you?
He's driving me crazy.
Why?
Because I believe this stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything he writes. Well, it writes, because I don't believe he's a real person. I'm not going to believe it until he shows his face. Show a picture of your face, Kleiman. Actually, I think it was Craig Carton. No, it wasn't Carton. It was Boomer.
Boomer's new guy.
Gio. It was Gio who called him out. He says, "Who's Dov Kleiman? Who is this guy? Is he real?" I believe I'm with that. I'm going to think he's an AI Kleiman. That's what he is.
AI Kleiman. All right, that's how I refer to him now on this podcast.
Dove.
Lastly, Trayvon Diggs got a 5-year, $97 million contract with $42 million guaranteed. So he's one of the highest paid cornerbacks in football now. So there you go. Kind of seems like a Asante Samuel type. Gets a lot of picks, but he could be beat.
There was a lot of video of him being beat last year.
Yeah,
a lot of clips where it's like this. Did he get beaten against the Niners? Wasn't there like a Niners situation? Wasn't there? Was that last year?
I don't recall that.
Or was it 2 years ago? They all these damn Niner playoff games. They just blend together after a while because they've been in all of
them. And non-NFL contract news, but NBA, Jaylen Brown. How much did he make?
$60 million a year. 5 years, 304.
So he's making the most money in the NBA right now. He exceeded Nikola Jokic's money. He's making more money annually than Steph Curry.
Yeah, but you know how it is, though. He'll be making all. Plus, Steph's not worried. That's fine that he's doing that, but also Steph Curry has like a lifetime contract, so he's making like millions and millions of dollars elsewhere that Jaylen Brown's not making. But
But when's
But
Jason Tatum up for a contract?
I don't know, but that's crazy. It's crazy that it's gone from this summer. He could be traded maybe even to the Warriors. And he was like their most disappointing player. This dude, like, I don't buy into everything that is said about him during playoff time, because I do think he's a very good basketball player. There's a reason he's making 60 million, or there's a reason that he could make good money, but 60 million is not it.
Yeah.
60 million is way too much. But like, see, this is where I'm also confused with contracts. Like, where does it end? What, like, where do we draw the line? Are we just going to keep on growing and growing as long as these corporations continue to make billions of dollars? Like, the NFL is a $12 billion a year business right now. I don't know what the NBA is, but I assume it's in the billions as well.
Well, what do you think the MLB is right now?
I mean, the MLB is corrupt as it is. It's been corrupt for a while. There's no ceiling, there's no floor, there's no nothing.
But that league is not making as much money as the other two leagues, and they'll give Shohei $600 million next year.
But I think prior to this whole thing going on with the regional sports networks, baseball was making all their money off TV deals. It wasn't like the NBA and the NFL. Although I'm not going to act like I'm some sort of business major. The same way that Craig Carton shouldn't act like he knows that Davante Adams is eventually going to get frustrated and traded to the Jets. Like, I'm not a business guy, but 60 million. It just
I'm
feels
not a
like
businessman. I'm a businessman.
Thank you. I'm 60 million.
Yeah, it's a lot
for a guy who turned the ball over 8 times in that final game.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a little much. It's a little much. But I did like his answer when he said he was going to give money back to the Boston community.
Yeah, get your money, man. You know what? Whatever. It may be too much. It may bother me just because that joke, it had a sense of truth to it where it's like, I'm kind of scared to get Chipotle because I don't want to spend too much on one meal.
Yeah.
But like, get your money. But man, 60 million's a lot for that player.
Yeah, no, I agree. Real quick here, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, and Sam Howell all declined to be on the Netflix quarterback show for this season. Would you have wanted to see any of them?
No.
All right, there we go then.
No. Who's the second one that you mentioned?
Sam Howell.
Wait, Justin Fields, Sam Howell, and who was the other one?
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts I would have been interested in.
Yeah.
Hurts I would have been. Justin Fields, not very interesting. Jalen Hurts, listen to him on New Heights. He was great.
He's great. He's kind of soft-spoken.
Yeah, but like I think his journey is unlike to that with any that are at the top of the league. Like Justin Herbert gets his contract, but he did his thing at Oregon, though he wasn't expected to be this.
Yeah.
He wasn't expected to be who he is right now. Like, I mean, even my buddy who's a Oregon apologist who gets on me for even critiquing Marcus Mariota one little bit. Like even he said, like, I don't know about Herbert in the NFL after Herbert's senior season or whatever it was or junior season, whenever, before he transferred to the NFL draft. But like Patrick Mahomes, great at Texas Tech. Joe Burrow, we know what Joe Burrow did at LSU. Who are these other high paid guys that I'm missing out on? Aaron Rodgers, great at Cal. Yeah. I don't know. All these guys had these upbringings in college, but I remember Jalen Hurts when Tua Tagovailoa came in. Weren't we at the bar? Weren't we at pick 6 for that game?
Yeah, we were.
SEC championship where Tagovailoa got hurt and then Hurts came back in, won the game for him, goes to Oklahoma, did his thing there, goes to the Eagles, gets drafted in the 2nd round. All the Eagles fans are like, get him out of here. I don't know how to do a Philadelphia accent.
They were low on Carson Wentz at the time, so maybe they welcomed a little bit.
Actually, they have this weird. They don't have the Boston East Coast sort of twang to them, but they kind of got that like, what's this guy doing?
No, that's Baltimore, dude.
I don't.
You sounded like somebody from The Wire. Prop Jew.
But point being, I'd like to see Hurts on there more than those other guys.
I would agree, but I mean, yeah, Justin Fields would be a second year, or what is he, 3rd year player now?
Yeah.
And Sam Howell, like, he may be terrible. We don't know yet.
I don't even know anything about Sam Howell.
He played in North Carolina. He got hurt. His draft stock fell. He's rolling the dice with him this year with the Commanders.
So which category would Hurts fall into? Would he fall into like the Mahomes category? Where
I would assume so, yes.
Superstar?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay, well, the aging veteran who would take Mariota's place, I'm going to stand by this, is Jameis Winston. I can't get enough.
Dude, we're going to watch him back up Derek Carr?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, eventually, might take over. But
by the way, did you see Derek Carr throwing three interceptions in a practice straight to the same guy?
Trying not to react to practice, Derek.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm saying he sounds like he's in December form. And Jameis is one, but I can't think of the other one. I can't think of like the veteran who's never gotten the big one. That's still chasing it. I don't know who it would be. Kirk is like kind of perfect for that. I don't know. Like Daniel Jones, I don't really have much interest in.
Nah.
How
about next time we come up with 3 guys that we'd be interested in?
Yeah. Garoppolo, not really.
Think about it.
Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. Anyway, dude, we haven't even brought it up. I hope you were going to bring it up.
Sean Payton?
Yes.
All right, that's where I was going next.
Good.
Sean Payton.
What the hell are you doing, Sean?
This isn't surprising to me. Remember when Kyle Shanahan got hired by the Niners and the Rams hired Sean McVay and the Packers hired Matt LaFleur, all the guys from the Playmakers podcast, minus Mike McDaniel. So Sean Payton kind of shit on him, saying like, oh, they got all these youngsters coming up at the NFL now, trying to be, play callers, and me and John Gruden were the original OGs. We're the old guys now calling the play sheet. At the time, I was like, he could get away with that because he's Sean Payton. Today, he's sounding like grumpy old man and just narcissistic and a little too arrogant for my liking. The exact quotes when talking about the Broncos last year were everything I heard about last season. We're doing the opposite. It all doesn't fall on Russell Wilson. This is not the exact quote, but he went on and said it was like a whole poo analogy and whatever. But he ends it with this: it might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was. And he goes on to talk about how the play calling, the late game execution with Nathaniel Hackett getting the play out and with only seconds left. He's not wrong. But when you're in a coaching fraternity, why do you have to shit on a guy like Nathaniel Hackett? And then he goes on to talk about the Jets. And he says, I think the Broncos, their whole point last year was to win the PR game, to win the offseason. And I see it right now with the Jets, them doing hard knocks and everything. It's like, Sean, you've been away from the game from a year. You just want to make enemies like this all over again? Like you want to, people to look at you in a certain way with Bountygate. You want to come back and think you're the shit right away, and if things don't pan out with the Broncos, people are going to be laughing at you.
That's why I kind of love it.
Yeah?
That's why I kind of love it. Yeah, we need an enemy. We haven't had that in a while. We thought Dan Campbell was going to be that guy that we could kind of laugh at a little bit, but
no, I love him.
Turns out everyone loves Dan Campbell. There's not that one coach. There's not like the Ben McAdoo's of the world right now where you can just kind of sit back and laugh. Hackett was kind of that guy last year. I love it. I don't like anything that he said, but I like the idea of having one head coach out there who's the enemy and you know what he's totally wrong about? Like he didn't admit, hey, your quarterback, he's past whatever prime that he was in. He is a different player. Your quarterback this year is going to stink.
Okay, are you talking about Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers?
Russell Wilson.
Well, he's not going to say that because he's got to believe in this guy.
Exactly. But that's the fact of last year. It wasn't just the coaching. His player was not that good.
Yeah, no, I know that. And he'll use it as an excuse when things don't pan out. They very well could. I like the Broncos on paper better than the Raiders this year because they have Sean Payton. But the way that he came across, it sounded very John Gruden-y and Urban Meyer kind of where his arrogance showed like I know I'm the shit as a head coach. I'm going to turn this fucking thing around.
Also, what's he done? What's he done since 2009? Got him to a couple of playoff games here and there. Well, you had Drew Brees and you had Michael Thomas. Like, what has he really done? Won one Super Bowl and that's it?
Yeah, they've had some terrible defeats in the playoffs, but
I'm sorry, but like you can't be talking like that. You just can't.
But that's what those guys do, man. Certain head coaches from a different era are that arrogant.
Yeah, and now I have every reason to want the Broncos to lose this year.
And I'm right there with you. I did not like his comments today.
Like I love the fact that there's an enemy. There's this guy that we can all just point to and just universally say, well, this guy's ridiculous. But like whatever he said, it is that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
but it also
yeah, I like it. I like it on a level.
It also comes across as if he's like, I didn't want to coach this team. It sounds like he's like the way that he's going about it is like, I had other options. Would I prefer to go to the Chargers? Yeah. Would I prefer to go to the Jets and coach this Aaron Rodgers team? You bet your ass I would. But I got the Broncos, and yeah, they were a shit show last year. But you know what? I'm gonna make them better. He sounds a little like, well, yeah, this was the job I was, no, this is the job that I, that was willing to pay me the amount of money that I wanted to have to go back to coaching. He would have been perfect with the Chargers. There's no doubt. But they didn't want to fire Brandon Staley. They didn't want to pay Sean Payton. He's making what, $10 million a year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we shall see if Sean Payton backs it up. But Robert Saleh, I have in the group chat, Stephen. Robert Saleh responded to Sean Payton's critique of the Jets, kind of unwarranted at a left field. And this is what Robert Saleh had to say.
Does it count as a group chat if it's just between you and me?
It's a group.
Fair enough. Here's Saleh.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge Sean on that. He's been in the league a while. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But as far as what we have going on here, it's I kind of live by saying, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So hate away. It's obviously we're doing something right if you got to talk about us when we don't play you till week 4, and I'm good with it. But the guys in our locker room, they've earned everything that's coming to them. And really excited about what's going on. I think Hackett's doing a phenomenal job here. The coaching staff is doing a phenomenal job, and we're focused on us. I get it. There's a lot of external noise. There's a lot of people who are hating on us. There's a lot of people looking for us to fail. There's a lot of crows pecking at our neck. But all you can do is spread your wings, keep flying high until those crows fall off and suffocate from the inability to breathe. It's a whole nother.
All right. I love that he was going with the analogy a little too long there.
What the hell was that? You talk about Sean Payton talking shit, and then it's just, well, there's going to be a lot of crows pecking at your neck. You just got to spread your wings and fly away.
Suffocate those crows.
And then just get those crows out of there. You got to be the hunter, not the hunted.
No matter how ridiculous that statement was, I respect Robert Saleh for clapping back a little bit.
Oh, yeah, man. If there's anything I learned from that Playmakers podcast, it's you do not mess with the piss boys.
No, you do not. You do
not mess with guys who were once piss boys.
No, you don't.
That sounds. If you don't have any context, that sounds a lot worse than it actually is. It's basically.
I got you. Don't
worry. Well, I'm not talking to you. We also got other people here, Derek. Jesus.
Okay. Well, sorry. You can explain to each individual person on the chat here what you were trying to say.
If you didn't see piss boys, what are you talking about? So, just what? Hang on. How do I mute your mic? But piss boys is basically what they called themselves when they were like the quality control coaches. Him and I think like Raheem Morris was involved there too. But when all those guys, that's what they were called when they were the quality control coaches, and they had to do everything that like no coaches want to do. So they were called the piss boys.
AJ Cruz 75. Check out the Playmakers podcast. If you're a football fan, it's really good. And the old, back in the day when Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel were all on Washington's coaching staff. They were referred to as the Piss Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. You and I both love Hot Ones. I haven't watched it in quite some time because every time I watch it, it makes me hungry for wings. And then I realize I can't do it anymore, Steven, even though I want to. Just the pain the next day is just too much for my butthole. But I watched Steph Curry do his Hot Ones challenge today, and he struggled a little bit in the end, but he got it done. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Everyone, The most painful one everybody talks about is the bomb, which
Yeah.
used to be the second to last one, but now they have one in the middle. Now it's like a watermelon one that's weird that doesn't seem to fuck anybody up.
Right.
I don't know. I have thought about, like, I was watching it today. I was like, God, I miss this show, and God, I miss eating wings. I may want to buy all the sauces this year, and I'm just part of Wins or Wangs. That maybe my punishment is just to take a spoonful of the bomb, or what's the last one, the last dab, and see how I react to it.
You mean so you're going to use the punishment that I've been doing this podcast?
Have you ever done the bomb?
Never done the bomb. No.
See, that's the thing. Like, I think I'm good at that stuff. Like, in the moment, I can handle it. The next day is the problem. I
Yeah.
want to see if I can handle. Like, there's some hot sauces that get me.
Right.
Trust me. I want to see how I react to the ones that I've been watching for so many years on Hot Ones.
What'd you think of Steph, though?
Steph was good. I need to watch the documentary. I put it off for a while.
Yeah. The thing with Steph, he's just he's like got this perfect mix of like humility, but he also knows like what he's done in the NBA now. Like it's crazy at the beginning when he talks about how, like, he answered honestly. He said, if I didn't go to Davidson, I don't know if I'd be the player that I am today. But he also like acknowledges later on that he had a hand in changing the landscape of the NBA with the amount of 3-pointers that are taken. So it's like a mix of humility, but at the same time, like, he understands the impact that he had, which is why everybody loves him. My only thing, hey, Steph, it's okay to swear. It's okay to swear every now and then. You don't have to.
Shoot.
Yeah, man. Like,
Mother sucker.
We know we've seen you on the court. We've seen you mouth out certain words before. We know you swear. We know you do. It's okay to just let a little profanity loose every once in a while, man. Come on.
Yeah, if we saw Patrick Mahomes let everything fly, we could see Steph Curry let things fly.
Yeah, like, oh my God, can you imagine Patrick Mahomes doing Hot Ones?
I can't do it.
You got a coughing?
Oh, oh my God, it's so hot, man. Oh, I didn't think it was real when it came in here. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but it's pretty bad, man.
That's pretty good. I'm really proud of that.
Yeah,
but
you should be.
But no, man, it's just like, let it loose a little bit, Steph. It's okay. We know what you do. It's not like he's Phillip Rivers or Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins. When you hear these guys mic'd up, they legitimately do not swear. They like, Rivers goes dadgummit, and
yeah, exactly.
You always hear Kirk Cousins saying something along the lines of, "Oh frick, oh shoot,
Yeah,
sugar," that kind of
darn
thing.
it.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
Steph, we've seen you swear. Like, be yourself a little bit more. It's okay. You don't have to put on this just perfect image, which
I know,
he
but his mom doesn't like it, Steven. That was the thing. His mom doesn't like it. Sonya doesn't like it.
He was taught better, I know, but I don't know. That's what I thought about it. But it was awesome. Everything that he talked about, from the Kobe stories at the end, were fantastic. If you watch that, that's just so. If you're gonna watch it, watch Hot Ones for the beginning, just to watch Steph have a pretty cool conversation, and then stay for the Kobe stories at the end. They're fantastic.
No, it was a very good interview. Sean Evans does a good job always with his research. And yeah, I need to catch up on some Hot Ones because I haven't watched it in quite some time. So,
dude, I've watched it's crazy. I've watched every episode since like 2016. It's great. It's insane.
Well, sometimes they interview like these internet stars where I'm like, who the fuck are these people? I don't care.
There are a couple of them where it's just, all right, I don't need to watch that again. I like to watch it because it's like, oh, this person might be interesting. And then you kind of get to watch it and it's, I don't know.
Lastly, Oppenheimer. I saw it the other night. I'm not going to spoil anything for you because I know you're going to see it in a couple weeks. It's very good. Very, very good.
People kind of know what happens, but you don't have to. Don't spoil it.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to. There's things that happen in the movie. Very well acted, very well done. Robert Downey Jr. Very good performance. Cillian Murphy, I think his name is. Yeah, he should get some Oscar love for this movie. So should the whole movie itself. It's also a great game of 3 hours to play, of watching a movie and going, "Hey, I know that person. Hey, I know that person too. Oh my God, she's in this. He's in this. Is he going to say anything? He's just like a background character. Okay." Christopher Nolan does a great job of just getting like A-list actors to be like, "All right, now you're just a bit character in this one scene. Like it's incredible how many cameos are in this movie.
Is David
Here's the big-
Krumholtz one of them?
Yes,
That was him. Wow.
he got fat, right?
Wow.
I know, but I'll
What
always.
happened, man? Eating too
Uh,
many cookies in Santa's workshop? What's he doing?
But I'll always remember him from Walk Hard. I just love
Too
the
many
line.
sandwiches in Santa Claus. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. I'll always remember that line from him. He's the manager in Walk Hard, right?
Yeah.
My favorite line is the show's not doing too well. Well, our show's not doing too good because they had a new episode of The Incredible Hulk last night. Well, did you see it? They found out that the Incredible Hulk has a twin brother. He's not green. He's red.
It's actually a pretty good impression. For anyone who doesn't know who Krumholtz is, he's like a really old school kind of just comedy movie guy. Famously played Bernard.
Supporting
in-
character, yeah.
Yeah, and Santa Claus played the guys doing cocaine in Superbad in the room with the ponytail. Wow.
Oh, yeah. He's in that too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
He was in Harold Escape from Guantanamo Getting Bay.
He's in Harold
when-
and Kumar. He's in
when
Harold
he
and Kumar.
teaches all these teenagers what a blumpkin is.
Yep.
Oh, what a time.
I will say this, Steven, about Oppenheimer. You paid how much to go see it in IMAX?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's more than just IMAX, though. It's a different type of IMAX. It's hard to
L-
explain.
Listen to me. And everybody that's going to go see this movie, trying to go see it in IMAX or whatnot, save your money. I saw it at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland. And mind you, it's not an IMAX setup. But if you're just going to go see this movie for one scene and one scene alone, save your money. It's mostly talking.
How do you know, though?
Because I watched the movie.
Yeah, but you didn't watch it in the IMAX, so how do you don't even know what you missed? Because it's more for than just one scene.
Yes, it is. I watched the movie.
But the aspect ratio, Derek. You don't think there was things that were cut off that you don't see?
What? What the hell are you talking about?
The aspect ratio, Derek.
You sound like some cinephile nerd right now.
Took an American cinema class.
So did I.
in
And let me
college.
tell you, a lot of that stuff is crap.
It is. Very
Mise
true.
en scène and all that stuff. Just give me a damn movie sometimes.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
No, honestly, I think you could watch this movie in a regular theater. I really do.
Well, I'm going to go to the IMAX
Tonight-
and I'm going to shove it in your face and say this is better than the regular theater.
No, you do
That
that.
you should have seen it in IMAX.
Okay. I bet you by the time you see this movie, by the next podcast, you may do it out of spite, just to spite me. But you and Jesse will probably turn to each other and go, we could have saved our money on this.
Nah, it's going to be worth it. It's one of the few summer blockbusters that are out. Willing to do it.
All right. Thought I'd let you know. And on that note,
Paid
thank
for
you
these
to all.
tickets like 3 weeks ago, Derek. It's a little late to say, hey, save your money.
I'm not telling you. I'm telling all to our new audience.
It feels like it's directed at me,
Well, I'm just
considering
pointing
I'm the only one you know that's going to see it in IMAX.
I'm just letting you know that you're an idiot for doing that.
Thank you.
To the Ernies that always show up, thank you very much. To our new guys, AJ Cruz 75 and who's our other guy? Otis Bird the third. Yeah, I like that. Thank you guys for stopping by. And yes, me and Steven do this podcast twice a week. We do it kind of sporadically, but it's usually one time during the week and one time on the weekend. And then during football season, we do a reaction show and then we do a preview show. And by the way, we should let people know we're thinking about not doing a just your pregame show this year because we did it last year and not many people want to hear a podcast the Sunday morning when the games are going on. It's really dated after that. We should have thought about that. So maybe we're going to do it on a Saturday, just a day before, just to do a little something while the college games are going on, and then we can do a reaction show during the week.
Well, it'll still be pretty dated by the time the games roll around. People, depending on when they listen to the podcast.
Yeah, but at least you got more than just, a couple hours. You got a full day.
I guess so.
On that note, guys, we're going to take the weekend off. We'll be back next week. And hopefully Dalvin Cook's a Jet by then. So I can stop talking about it. All right, Steven.
That's where I mute your mic when you mention Dalvin Cook.
Say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man.
That wasn't a bad Patrick Mahomes.
You've done that too many times.